Well, hello and welcome to today's episode of Need I Say Myrrh, the Christmas podcast. And today I am delighted to be joined by Lewis Campbell. Hello, Lewis.
Hello, nice to be on.
Well, it's good to have you on. It's very good. Maybe you could quickly introduce yourself and tell us who you are, where you are, and what you do.
Yeah, as said, my name's Lewis Campbell. I live in Stonehaven, which is a town just south of Aberdeen, about 15, 20 minutes, with my family, my wife Rosie, my three children, Talitha, Josiah, and Daniel. And I'm the pastor there at Stonehaven Baptist Church. I've been here for 5 years now.
Are you from that area originally?
No, I grew up even further north on the
Okay.
northeast coast, on the Murray Firth, in a town called Lossiemouth, known for its Air Force Base, because we got posted up there when I was very small and we got posted around. But I spent most of my life in Lossiemouth, or Costa del Lossi, as it's known by me.
Known by you and no one else. That's good. Yeah, so you've just moved further south. I could detect the accent. That's good. So you're been there for 5 years. This what your fifth, sixth Christmas there? What's Christmas going to look like for you this year at the church?
Yeah, that's our fifth Christmas, if my maths is right, which it's often not, but I think it's my fifth Christmas. And we're actually heading up, we'll be here until about the 23rd. And then we're actually going back, I say back home, but back up north. Both sets of parents are up there and
Okay.
a couple of siblings too. So we're going to go up there pretty much for the week and then come back here for what we call Hogmanay. Everyone else calls New Year's Eve. And we'll
Mhm.
probably host something there in between putting kids to bed and that kind of thing. So most of it's going to be up north. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing your answers to the questions and seeing whether they have a Scottish flavour through them or whether you're going to do something less predictable. We'll see. But we'll start with the first question. What is your favourite Christmas decoration?
What springs to mind is tinsel, just tinsel on stuff. Because in the house I grew up in, there was tinsel on the tree, and there was tinsel at the banisters, and there was I just over random door frames and that sort of thing. So I don't know if that's everyone else's experience growing up, but it would be duller without tinsel for me. So I'll say tinsel.
Well, that's interesting because that was a controversial topic in the first series of this podcast, where there was a great debate about tinsel. And I will mention that we do welcome correspondence on this podcast. You can get in touch at needisaymyrrh at gmail.com. That's needisaymyrrh at gmail.com. And we'll share your thoughts in a later episode. But it is something that divides opinion. But clearly you're a tinsel lover. And is that shared by your family as well? Is that so you are a tinsel loving household as a whole?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, maybe not as much as in the household I grew up in, but yeah,
Okay.
there's some tinsel around. So yeah, yeah. I didn't know it was such a hot topic, but there you go.
Oh, it is. Yeah. We don't really do tinsel in our house, but I'm happy if you want to. What about the church building? Do you decorate much in the building?
We do have a tree. We're in a funny sort of position here. We rent three rooms out of what was the courthouse in Stonehaven, but it's shut down,
Okay.
and they sent it all up to Aberdeen Sheriff Court. So now it's different businesses and charities rent it, and so we rent three rooms here. So there is one room where we have a Christmas tree, and I think that's about it, or maybe some candles and stuff. But yeah, someone always decorates it so that we know it's Christmas, basically.
Okay. Well, I look forward to seeing whether tinsel remains controversial this year. Uh, yeah. And do you go for a mix of colours in your tinsel decorating?
We do, yeah, yeah. Like to shake it up, have a few different colors.
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose if you're going to go for tinsel, you may as well make it as garish as possible. I don't know. We'll leave it there because talking about tinsel does make me feel a bit unwell. Moving on to the next question. We'll talk about food, another important part of Christmas. What is your least favorite festive food?
See, I like most Christmas foods, but I'm not a big pudding guy. I don't like big
Okay.
puddings. So the house I grew up, my mum would always don't tell her, not that she'll ever care or hear about this, but they make this thing called trifle. Do you have trifle where you are?
Yeah, we've got trifle, yes.
Yeah, so everyone liked that in my household except me. And we grew up and I would see it coming. And it was always in this big glass bowl as well. So I could see all the cream and the stuff. And it, just looking at it, maybe, I don't know what it was. There's just something about that that would make me kind of, I would have everything else but that. Or probably we never had Christmas pudding, but I imagine that would have the same effect on me as well. But just that, I can almost taste it. I can almost get the texture, without even having to try. So I would say trifle. Whether that's what other people had at Christmas, I don't know, but certainly for me, that one springs to mind.
Okay. Yeah, I think trifle is probably a year-round thing rather than just Christmas. Although I imagine lots of people do have it for Christmas. I've had trifle probably maybe once a month for the last year. I don't know. It's just a common kind of thing. I don't know whether that's just a south of the border thing.
I don't know why I associate so much with Christmas. Maybe we did have it more often. I don't remember.
You, you just kind of blotted those memories of the approaching trifle. So are you saying that you've never had Christmas pudding?
I think I have when I was very small, probably,
Okay,
and was probably thoroughly unprepared for it. But I would say that generally, if you're going to have cake, just have cake. Don't put fruit in the
okay,
cake. So I'll have fruit when I want fruit, but cake for me needs to be fruitless, to be honest.
okay.
So, which is a very unhealthy statement to make um, on a podcast. But yeah, that would be my thing. But maybe I need to try it
Yeah.
again. I could be proven wrong.
Yeah, well, part of this, like the philosophy of this podcast, is encouraging people to try something new.
Oh,
So maybe that's something you need to try again and let us know how you get on. I,
it could be cool. On fire as well. I like that. Is that the one you light on fire? The Christmas pudding.
yeah, I mean, you can light anything on fire if you were determined enough, couldn't you? Have a fiery trifle. Maybe do you think like if there was fire involved with trifle, would that make it more appealing to you? Is fire an important part of your diet, would you say?
Not really. It's an important part of Christmas now I think about it. There's always like open
Yeah,
flames around, isn't there?
yeah,
So
kind of,
maybe I would try it again if
yeah.
all the flames would burn out or the cream would, but maybe I would
Okay.
do that.
Let's move on then to Christmas Eve, which is coming up very soon. Um, and what are your Christmas Eve traditions?
That's an interesting one for us because we normally go home sometimes maybe after a Christmas Eve service, that kind of thing, which we're doing it a bit differently this year. That's changed, but or it changes from year to year. But
Mhm.
I think the ideal for me, we did this a lot growing up, would be, and for us now, go to a Christmas Eve service, maybe like the 7 o'clock type Christmas Eve
Mhm.
service, and then come home and watch a favorite Christmas film with preferably some really festive thing like doner and chips, that traditional Christmas meal or pizza or something, something to that
Mhm.
effect. That works for
Mhm.
me.
Mhm. So you kind of so growing up then Christmas Eve services were a big part of your Christmas experience.
Oh yeah, I grew up in a Presbyterian denomination up north, and Christmas was big between our own services and joint services in the town. So I think I do remember when Boxing Day landed on a Sunday. I remember being at like a Christmas Eve thing, a watch night thing, then a Christmas Day thing, and then like a normal service on a Sunday as well. So it was
Yeah.
after that year they decided I think we should do it differently next time. But yeah, being at my memory is often being at church on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, which
Mhm.
with my own family wherever we are, we try and do something like that.
Yeah, a helpful way of um, making sure that Christmas Day doesn't just become a kind of all the decorations and food and things, but remembering the kind of real heart of it. And you mentioned films. So what would be your top Christmas film or films?
Oh yeah, yeah. So we've got a new favorite, at least my wife and I, in the past few years, a film, American one called Christmas with the Coopers. I don't know if you've ever seen that one before. It's
No.
got a cast like sort of like John Goodman, all these kind of people, but like a family coming together at Christmas. But it's one of those ones that I would say it's objectively a good film. It's not just because it's actually rubbish, but I'm nostalgic about it because it's Christmas. Like it's one that I would say it's objectively a good film. But I also really like It's a Wonderful Life, but my wife doesn't really
Okay.
share that, so I try and sneak that in parts in the Christmas season at some point.
I'm wondering what you think of my favorite Christmas film, which is A Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh yeah, yeah, I like
Well, that's
it.
good. That's reassuring, yes. Yeah, so we've got one more question left. And thinking about, obviously, you've been to lots of services, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day,
Mm.
every day. So wondering, with all the carols that you have sung over the years or listened to, what would be your favorite Christmas carol?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that with all kind of growing up in church and everything, because I think as a kid, I sort of sang these as carols, and you know what I mean? I saw them as Christmas carols. I didn't really think much about them, I think, but I've
Hmm.
really grown,
Hmm.
you know, becoming a Christian for myself, I would say later on, and really growing in my faith. I think about them so much more at Christmas, like the words of what's
Hmm.
being said. And for me, like probably no surprise, but "Hark the Herald Angels Sing." I feel like every year, the words hit me a bit more emotionally than they did when I was a kid or wherever. Like the sort of "Mildly lays his glory by, born that man no more may die, born to raise the sons of earth, born to give them second birth." It just really
Hmm.
points to why Jesus came to, save sinners, to die and to rise for us, and to save us and to give us new life. And yeah, the words for that one. I mean, there's others that are great as well, but I think just the rich sort of theology in those words, and beautiful poetry at the same time. I think
Hmm.
it's. I always love singing that one. Yeah.
Hmm. I'm anticipating that will be a common answer in this series, but at the time of recording this one, you are the first person to mention it. Thinking about, uh, yeah, my experience of growing up singing carols, but only later in life coming to actually realize what the words really meant. I think about the experience of those who'll be coming to our services or events this Christmas, and actually those there'll be some people who may sing the words and not know what they mean, but we can pray that, yeah, that the Lord will work to show them why that is not just words that sound nice with a nice tune, but actually really quite amazing truth. And do you have because one of the things I always have a question about with carols, and especially the more well-known ones like Hark the Herald Angels Sing, do you have a limit on how many times you sing them in a church context in December?
Yeah, yeah. The way with our services, because we're a very small church, and
Okay.
I organize the services, and I end up sort of choosing the hymns as well. I have to be careful in December not to choose the all my favorite ones all at the same time. So, yeah, yeah, that's I don't. I think last year I seem to remember maybe in the extra services we had that one in, but for
Hmm.
our own kind of normal Sunday mornings, I think I almost saved it up until I think Christmas Eve was a Sunday last year, and had that as
Okay.
like the closing hymn after the sermon to
Okay.
kind of resound. So yeah, I try and we have some people in our church that know a lot of hymns and a lot of carols, so more than I've ever known. And so I sort of look through the list and try and spread it out
Hmm.
nicely and include the ones that are good, that are sound, but I might
Hmm.
not naturally choose. So
Yeah, there are a lot to choose from, aren't there? But also we're aware that some people will expect and will want certain carols, so it's kind of
that's right. Yeah, yeah.
we normally sing it probably Hark the Herald maybe 3 or 4 times in December. That's another possible topic of correspondence. How many times in your church are you singing Hark the Herald this year? Let us know. We could have a leaderboard of which church in the UK sings it most in December, and they could win a prize. Um, I don't know what the prize would be. There we go. Maybe a Christmas pudding. Anyway, it's been good to chat, and good to hear a bit about what's your Christmas will look like and what it has looked like. And we hope that you have a very happy Christmas.
And you, thank you very much.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas.